have no crime time on Friday. Alright, you need both your outlines in front of you. You don't need your Chromebook, but you need both outlines in front of you. We're beginning a project today which we'll work on next week, and then we'll work on it this week. It'll be due Monday, March 9th. So there are two outlines. So first, make sure your name is at the top, real nice and big.
Which one?
On both papers, put your name at the top. You are going to have to turn these in when you're done, so please do not lose these outlines. So put your name at the top of both. And then find this outline, which has some elements listed on it. And then on the back, it has like a really big rubric, so it's the front and back page. Find that one. At the very top of that one, as big as you can so you don't get confused, write independent part. So at the front page, this is the front, write independent part. Okay? Oh, that's okay. Alright, so this is the independent part. And we're going to go through this all in detail. The other one, where it says Bohr 3D Model Project Outline, this outlines the entire project for you. It's the one-sided one. So this is kind of your overall template, and then the front and back one is more specific. Okay? So on the one that says independent outline, the due date, you need to cross out. We need to rewrite this. I printed them before I changed the due date. So cross out the due date on the independent outline. You should have titled it at the top. And write the due date is Monday, March 9th, beginning of class. Monday, March 9th. So you'll have about a week and a half for this project. And you will get class time to work on it too. Alright. So I'm going to go through a PowerPoint. It's going to give you overall information. There are quite a few components to this project, but I will remind you of everything as we get started working on it. This PowerPoint is also on Google Classroom. So as you're working on the independent part, as you're working on the group part, you can refer back to it and get the information off the PowerPoint I'm going to show you. Alright. So here's the project overview. So there are two components to this project. The first is the independent part. And if you see the models in the back, that's what you're creating something similar to. So you're creating a 3D model of a specific element that you will choose at the end of class. So that's the independent part, is you're creating your own 3D models. The second part is a group component. So instead of having to present by yourself, I'm going to let you present in your table groups. So you'll present your elements together in your group, and then part of that is one, making a Google slide presentation with your table group covering all your different elements. And then second, you're going to create a group Google form. So you four or three, however many are in your group, are going to present to the class, and then following that presentation, you're going to submit a Google form to the rest of your peers, and they're going to answer questions based on your element. So that's the overview. Are there any questions so far? I'm going to get into the specifics. So stop me if you have any questions. So the individual component, this is the outline found on paper, which you labeled at the beginning of class. The overall goal is you're creating a 3D model with any materials that you want to on your chosen element. So your goal is to create an accurate model, so all of your electrons should be placed in the right orbit. We practiced doing that yesterday. Your protons and neutrons should have the right numbers. Your sizes should be accurate. So if you look at those models, their electrons should be smaller than their protons or neutrons because they weigh less. So it needs to be an accurate model, and then also there'll be some research component to it as well. We'll get to the research questions. Alright, and then the group component. I already kind of covered this, but you're creating a group Google slide and you'll present together. And one slide per person, you'll highlight your elements, key information, and any fun facts that you find about your element, how many protons, how many neutrons, and then you'll show your board model while presenting your slide as a group, and then following that group presentation, you're going to have the class answer a Google form that you create. Alright, so here's some specifics on how to create a Google slide, group collaboration. So, one student will create a new Google slide presentation. So go to Google Slides, create new, and then once it's open on the top right, click the share button, and then add the emails of your group members. Make sure it's set to can edit. Confirm with your group members that they've received the invitation. So then you all should be able to be on the same slide presentation, editing it together. Some helpful hints. When you're working with your group, if you change the theme, it's going to change the whole theme. So keep that in mind. Make sure you're talking to your group mates, asking them what theme they want, not changing things just by yourself. Make sure you're typing on your own slide, so don't add any information to your partner's slide. And if you accidentally make a change, like you delete someone's slide, don't stress out because there's a restore option I can show you if you accidentally do that. Alright, and then creating Google form is very similar. You create a new Google form, you're going to add collaborators, and again, type in the email of your group members so they can edit the Google form. So here's how you do that in your Google form. Click more, add collaborators, and then type in their email to make sure it's set to can edit. Adding questions on the Google form. So first you're going to title your form. Here's the title I would type in for my form. Then the default question type is multiple choice. So when I open this up, it shows me multiple choice as my default option. Here's where you'll type in your question, and then if you want to supply answers to your question, you can add in the options below, or you can leave it short answer or long paragraph if you change the question format here. For each question, make sure this is clicked on required, or as the students are taking your form outline, they can just skip questions, but we don't want them to do that. So make sure it's set to required so that they answer all of the questions you create. And then you'll keep adding questions. There needs to be 2 questions per person. So you individually are only creating 2 questions. So if you're in a group of 3, you have 6 total. If you're in a group of 4, you have 8 total. Some helpful hints, use a variety of questions. You don't want all multiple choice because that's kind of boring. So mix up your question format. Make sure your questions are not too challenging but not too easy. So you want kind of a range of question formats. Encourage and help your group members. If you have used Google Form before and already know how to use it, make sure you encourage and help those who haven't. Once you're done sending the form, click Done. And then the gear settings on the top right, you're going to open that and you want to collect email addresses. So when people answer, we know exactly who it was that answered. And then under the presentation tab, you can add any settings you want to. You can also choose the quizzes tab to assign points if you want to if you want to as well, but don't mess with any other settings unless you approve it with me. When you're done, click send, and then type in my email address, and then you guys are done with the whole project. So, your peers will complete your Google form when you're done presenting, so make sure it's clear and easy to navigate as well. Alright, any questions so far over anything? Alright, let's go more into the independent project outline. So you need that sheet in front of you. I'll pull it up on the board. So again, the due date is Monday, March 9th. We'll be presenting them in class. So, your task, you are creating a 3D atom, a Bohr model for whatever element you choose. So I'm just going to kind of go from the top and summarize. So you can use a variety of household or craft materials to create atom parts like protons, neutrons, electrons. You can use any material you want as long as it's safe and within reason. So I put this on here. There's no need to go out and buy a bunch of materials. You can use things you have laying around at home, like cotton balls, if you have clay, styrofoam. Some people use clothes wire hangers last year, string. Those are all good options to use. Do not use food items because they're going to rot and then create an odor. Because there are several elements with extremely high atomic numbers, I made the list of elements we're going to choose from, which are on that outline as well. So some basic guidelines. Your model should be about the size of a printer paper. Some made them a little bigger, and that's okay. That is on the far left, that would be the max size. Okay, so do not go any bigger than that. That's plenty big. Make sure it can hang from the ceiling as well. So you make some hanging device to hang it from the ceiling. So consider its weight. It needs to be nothing too heavy so it doesn't fall on someone and break their head open, right? So make sure it's not too heavy. Make sure you're using a variety of colors to represent the different parts of the atom. So you also need a little tag. You notice all those atoms, they all have individual tags, and I have exactly what you need to have on the tag listed on that outline, as well as research questions. So what year was it discovered? What's its standard state of matter? Melting point, boiling point, common characteristics, 2 or 3 unique properties of the element, where is it commonly found? If you flip the page over, so be creative in your design, do not procrastinate. It's really easy to tell what students wait till last minute to make it and what students plan ahead and bring their materials in class. You will have a work day next Monday and Tuesday, so make sure you're bringing in materials for Monday and Tuesday. I have basic things like hot glue guns you can use, scissors, string. I'll have some basic things, but you need to think of what you're going to use so you can bring it in on Monday. And there's your rubric. Make sure when you're done, you're checking through the rubric to make sure it's correct. Any questions on the individual component? We good? Okay, go to your other outline, which is the group component. So it says first, I already went through that, you're creating an individual 3D atom. So on the second, as a table group, again, you're presenting your class about your Bohr model, 1 slide per person, and creating a Google form after your presentation for students to submit. There's the rubric for the group portion. So in presentation, if you want full points, you need to speak clearly and do not read directly off your slide. So it should be evident that you practice the slide a little bit before you present it, so you're not sounding like a robot and just reading slide by slide. 5 points. So if you have full points, or going right. Group, Google Slides. So make sure the presentation is clear and easy to read. Your information is neatly organized. It's condensed information. You want bullet points, not paragraphs of information. And then your Google form. If you want full points, you need to include a variety of question formats. Make sure your questions were worded clearly, easy to understand, and give a good summary of the information presented. So if this table group is in a group and they're creating the Google form, you don't all want to ask the question of how many protons are there in carbon, how many protons are there in aluminum. Mix up the questions that you're asking per element so that the questions don't get repeated. All right, we good so far? Okay, we're going to go ahead and go through and choose our element. So go back to the independent outline where it lists the element. I'm going to draw a popsicle stick, and if it's your name, you get to choose the element. So if you want your periodic table out to see how many atomic or how many protons there are, that might be a good idea. So grab your periodic table, find what element you want, locate it, have some backup options. I'm going to stop the video. Oh, it was 20 minutes.